GW1 AWH returning. No, I didn't go to any organised to do, but we decided that we'd have some fireworks in the garden, and the time that it came around, with yours truly setting them off, as appropriate. But yes, I've come across the ideal safety lighter, because the instructions say always light at arm's length. Well, I found that a garden blowtorch works very well indeed, and unlike these safety tapers that you can get, you don't have to hold them up to the fuse for very long. Just direct the flame jet onto the fuse, and they are lit within half a second. At which point you can then wrap it to fireworks with the gun lit. But otherwise, things could get very exciting. But no, it all went very well. The wind line was such that some of the rockets made their way home again, but with no ill effect. Microphone to you.
Jim, I've never heard of a garden blowtorch. Sounds a bit dangerous to me. A bit of a risk of hitting the actual firework as opposed to the touch paper. If you look at all the adverts from the stores, Morrison's, etc., it seems that these days you're supposed to combine fireworks parties with lots of nosh. Was food on offer at the same time? Ian, back to you, 200 CGM.
GW1 AWH returning. Yep, certainly was, Nigel, certainly was. And actually, I used the wrong terminology. Not so much blowtorches, just as a garden flame gun. But, potato, really. But as it's as the flame head is about 3 odd feet away from the handle, it does do the job very nicely, and it's a little bit more guaranteed, shall we say, for instant lighting of fuse than the usual safety taper, or having to resort to a lighter and practically putting your face over the top of the firework itself, which, with the best will in the world, that's not particularly desirable. But back to regarding the food, yes, the usual selection, hot dogs and what have you, had some soup made up, cheese and biscuits, etc., plus various beverages, shall we say, of varying strengths. So I must admit, once we'd let all the fireworks off, afterwards was quite a convivial evening, shall we say. Key to you.
200 CGM, possibly down to varying beverages. Oh, well, I'm glad it went well. Sounds good there. I don't know if you remember, on Wednesday I was talking to Paul there, brother Paul, suggesting we could, because he's got himself a rather expensive Fusion handy, and I said perhaps we can link up on MG, which is both FM and analog and Fusion, and we did do that Friday night. So it's actually the first time I spoke to Paul on amateur radio. We're so used to him becoming a regular on the Homesteaders, good supporter. But well, I think this is the first bit of kit, despite the fact he's got his full license. I think this is the first bit of kit he's got where he can actually work amateur radio. Anyway, we did make a two-way there on GB3MG on using Fusion there. So that was that was Friday night. So that was pretty good. Back to you, 200 CGM.
Golf Whiskey 1 Alpha Whiskey Hotel returning. Yeah, understood there, Nigel. So you had a good session on the repeater then with Paul. Yeah, I trust everything went okay with that, and you didn't actually say whether two-way or whether you had other stations, joining in. But anyway, at least it all went okay, and that's good news. I must confess I didn't realise that he had a full licence, but having said that, I knew he did have a licence, but not as to whether it was the foundation or intermediate. But no, fair dues. If he's got the full licence, then all the more power to him. So, well, literally. Anyway, with that, microphone to you.
Zero CGM with a pause in case anyone wishes to join the conversation. No, he did much the same as Max, because Max worked his way through, I think, in about just over a year, and Paul did much the same. It took him just slightly over a year to get through all three, so hats off to him for that. And no, nobody. I've noticed there's not much traffic at the moment. I've not heard much traffic at all on MG Fusion. So it was just me and Paul. But in fact, it wasn't too long a QSO, because I've found on the handy I've got for Fusion, the battery don't seem to last long, and we'd only just started talking, and the old battery warning started flashing, so it was fairly short. Anyway, I recharged it, so hopefully next time we'll have a better QSO. But no, I've heard very little traffic on Fusion on MG. There's so many different versions of digital, plus of course analog. I heard somebody made the comment that it sort of waters down what's available, which is possibly happening, different people are listening on different options. A lot of people listen and don't call in. So anyway, hopefully for all the effort they put in, I congratulate them for getting BC back on air, and indeed MG. So hopefully they'll get a bit more action on the Fusion side to reward them for their efforts there. I don't think you've got nothing on digital. Have you thought about doing it there, Ian? 200 CGM?
GW1, AWH returning. Negative, no. No digital capability. I haven't really given it much serious consideration at the moment, Nigel, but well, put it this way, I wouldn't be surprised if if further down the line that I do get some equipment which runs digital, but as you can appreciate, it's a question of which mode you want to go for, whether it's one system or the other. Shall we say that it's a bit of a lottery if you as to which way you jump in, but Fusion is looking the more how should you put it, the better bet. Covers all the bases basically. But having said that, nothing at present. But give me time, and I might actually get round to it. But at the moment, no. Purely analog. Microphone to you.
Zero CGM. Yeah, well, this one, GB3WR, is also on Fusion, but I don't think it's internet linked, so I think it's sort of standalone. But a much more important question, hopefully sometime over the weekend, you've caught up with Brian on one of the two links on Charlie Bravo. Has Brian been able to say how Jackie is after her operation there? Far more important than Fusion Radio. Hopefully you've got a bit of information on that. Back to you, Ian. 200 CGM.
Golf Whiskey 1, Alpha Whiskey Hotel returning. I must admit, I don't. We did speak this afternoon on the net, but only briefly. As you can imagine, things were a bit lively at the time. No mention was made on how Jackie is, but I think the best thing to say really is the fact that he didn't make any comment implies that all went well and no problems. But that is purely a supposition. I can't confirm whether that's the case or not. But I think if anything had gone pear-shaped, he would have intimated as such. But otherwise, no. It was purely working the net. No additional comments on that. So it's purely what you want to infer into the lack of information. I suspect that it's a case of all went as expected. Microphone to you.
200 CGM. I know DOI often monitors this one. Surprised he's not popped in. Well, hopefully it's a case of no news is good news. Did you take an opportunity on Wednesday night to see if there was any activity on 35 years of Charlie Bravo? I think you said you might have been doing that. Mike did listen from home, but he didn't hear much. I'm not sure if he said he heard you. He might have heard you. Was there much activity there, celebrating 35 years there? Back to you, 200 CGM.
GW1, AWH returning. Yeah, there was actually. One of the guys was running the net in this locality from the Mendips. That was Tom, and there was quite a number of people calling in. Unfortunately, we did also have I won't say lift conditions, but we were getting co-mod from the London area to the point where we were able to. Some of the guys were able to work some stations around Heathrow and the west side of London, but the stations further to the east were taking a lot of interference effectively from a different net centred on London on the same frequency. So yes, it was quite busy. As to AM, by the time I cleared and tried the AM frequencies, I think things had died down, and unfortunately I hadn't set up the radio to properly to work sideband, so missed the opportunity to try that. But I was certainly on FM. Yes, it was quite shall we say, several hours of quite busy activity. The closest thing to a local pilot that I've come across for a long time. Microphone to you.
CGM. Yeah, I think that. Yeah, because Mike said he heard you on FM. Oh, that's good. Yeah, well, any. Oh, possibly not that time of night. Or I don't know what. Any sign of our friend from Swindon there, Sid. Was he floating about there anywhere? 200 CGM.
GW1, AWH returning. Yes, Sid did call in. In fact, it was Sid who pointed out that he was taking a lot of co-mod, and I quote, he was being battered by co-mod from London. So, I think it describes pretty well the conditions that we had, and I I must admit, I had quite a successful evening. Quite often with the net on a Sunday afternoon, you might be able to hear, say 30 stations, but you quite often only end up working maybe 8 or 10. Wednesday evening, I was able to work, I would say, about 80% of the stations that I heard. So yes, all very successful as far as I was concerned. Yeah, pity that Mike couldn't made himself heard. Because I'd have been quite happy to work him, but maybe it was a case of because he couldn't hear some of the more distant stations, he decided not to press the PTT. But there we go, one of those things. But yes, if you're up on high ground, then well, I would say the world's your oyster, but certainly the immediate locale is wide open, and was on Wednesday. Microphone to you.
Oh, well, that'll please Del Boy, because he was encouraging activity. And okay, enough on that. We mustn't talk too much about the dark side. Yeah, was there another station trying to call in to GB3WR? 2 stations listening for you.
Mike Whiskey Zero, Papa Echo Hotel.
Yeah, hello Brian. The most important question I had with Ian, he couldn't answer, but he assumed all was okay because you didn't say anything. How is Jackie okay there following the operation there? Back to you, Brian. 200 CGM in the small group.
Mike Whiskey Zero, Papa Echo Hotel, return in the group there. Yeah, everything okay that night. She went out tonight, and I said I'll take you up a club and I'll bring you home. I won't drink tonight, so I didn't drink. So I'm on my second large glass of wine now since I've come in.
200, pardon me, 200 CGM in the small group. You're saying you took her out to the club as a treat there, and but obviously drove her back, so you stayed sober. Is that right?
Yeah, a little difficult with her that night. Yeah, took her up a club tonight. She likes going up there and having a game of housey, so took her up in the car, and I didn't drink, so I could bring her home in the car as well.
Yeah, that's what I said. Sorry you're struggling. But we've also got Ian on out there, if you want to go back to Ian there, Brian. But good news, and I say give him my best wishes. And I'm glad things are going okay so far. I'll let you go back to Ian there, 200 CGM in the small group.
Okay, nice, yes, everything going great there, so very pleased there. Okay, GW1 AWH, MW0PH in little group. Evening, Ian.
MW0PH, GW1 AWH returning in a little group. Yeah, evening, Brian, and yeah, glad to hear that Jackie's okay, and I trust both of you had a good evening. So yeah, shame about having to lay off the pop, but by the sound of it, you're making up for it there, Brian. So yeah, that should make up for it. And yeah, incidentally, just for Nigel's benefit, I don't know if he's made any adjustments to his radio, but he's become very, very quiet and rather crackly through the repeater there. So I suspect his input power must have been altered somehow. But I think Brian, you commented on that something similar yourself just now. So hopefully when Nigel comes back next, then you'll be able to advise on that. Anyway, back to you, Brian.
MW0PH return in the small group. Yeah, I believe you did call about 20 minutes ago, Ian. I did return to you, but you didn't come back. So unless I misunderstood the call, but I thought it was you calling about 20 minutes ago. I can phone back to you, Ian.
GW1 AWH returning. I must admit I did. I did actually call Tony. I did hear a station returning, but it was so faint in the back of the box. I couldn't clearly hear what was being said, and I must admit, I thought that it was a little unusual, but I thought at the time it had Tony's voice pattern, but obviously I was mistaken. But I should have realised that I recognised the pattern itself and twigged that it was someone else, but unfortunately didn't make the connection that it was you, Brian, and so consequently I didn't return. So apologies for that, but I didn't actually make out any of your return there. Microphone to you.
00PH again. Yeah, well, when you called, I did return, and then Nigel from Dorset called me on Skype there, so I had a chat with him then for 10 minutes or so he's here then, so I thought, right, I poured out the second glass of wine here, so I thought, right, we'll have a listen now on the radio, and so I turned it down at the time, and I could hear you and Nigel going, so I thought, right, we'll give a call in and say hello to you both, and apologies, I did say good evening to you earlier. It is good morning.
GW1 AWH returning to the small group. Yeah, understood there, Brian, and yeah, fair enough. Having said that, just for, I think we should let Nigel get a word in edgeways now, so before I pass the key back to him, just advise him that after the homestead is finished Wednesday afternoon, we had our resident member from West Dorset call in. Unfortunately, Nigel, I think you'd already cleared and didn't hear him call in, so I took the liberty of returning to him and having a quick QSO, and had a couple of minutes with him, but he had to clear himself fairly quickly, so just a shame. Reason given was he'd been out shopping with Elizabeth, so wasn't able to get back in time. So at least I was about to say, as I wasn't so quick off the mark as yourself, I managed to hear him, but I think that would probably be unfair on yourself, Nigel. Anyway, Nigel, key to you.
Zero CGM returning the group. I presume you mean Nigel. Yeah, you must mean Nigel there. No, when I say off and clear, it's switch off. So I missed that. Mind you, I did know because Mike wasn't so quick as me, because obviously he was waiting for me to drop down and have a word with him, and he still was listening, and he did tell me that you did acknowledge Nigel and went back to him there. So I did know, so I put him in the log. He is in the log, but when he actually called in, no, I'd switched off, because when I say off and clear, I've literally gone. So anyway, hope he's okay. I know it's difficult because I think Wednesdays is when they go shopping, so it's a pity that if they could alter it to a different day, he could pop in, because he knows he's very welcome. But there we are. Yeah, we did know because Mike told me, but yeah, I'd switched off. So there we are. Okay, back to you there. So you're playing catch up now there, Brian. You got the wine on the go. Playing catch up after a dry night. 200 CGM.
00 CGM and 00 PH in the group. Yeah, that's right. Then on the second large glass, the bottle's empty now, so I'm not going to open another one tonight. But excuse me, I'm going to sneeze.
Sorry, you're a bit quick on the last over. Yeah, the bottom of the bottle. That's it, large glass. But I didn't get the last over there, Brian. 200 CGM.
And 0 PH returning to 2 Whiskey 0, Charlie Golf Mike. Yeah, apologies on that then. It was a quick one. I said, excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. So I might have let the mic, the key go just at the vital moment. But yeah, we've had the sneeze now, so we're back in operation again.
CGM. Yeah, I find that we're definitely moving from autumn to winter now, and I haven't had any sign of any colds yet there, Brian, but I definitely get the sneezes, and I'm like my dad. When I sneeze, I give at least 6 or 7, well, half a dozen bursts, and when I sneeze, the whole world knows there. The whole world knows when I sneeze there, Brian. Yeah, you understand why it was a bit clipped there. 200 CGM. Back to you there, Brian.
Yeah, everyone. I just that's what happened there. Then I don't want to sneeze into the mic as I'm talking to you, so it was a quick over and I was sneezed. So there we are. So. Nothing like a cold start in this way. It's just I'll put it down for the hairs in my nose. So I'm a very hairy person anyway, so I'll put it down to that.
200 CGM, back to you, Brian. Yeah, the hairdresser that me and Leslie's got, she was a former girlfriend of Stephen, one of my oldest boys, but it didn't work out. She married someone else, but she's a travelling hairdresser, and she does call on me and Les and does our hairs. She does my eyebrows, but she says I'm not doing noses. So I, with my electric razor, every now and again, mind you, of course, when you clip those hairs, they grow even more. But every now and again, I do clip the hairs coming out of my nose there. Not yet got hairs growing on the earlobes. I gather that's a sign of old age, but nothing on that so far. But anyway, she said I'll do your eyebrows, but I stop short of doing your nose. You can do that. So every now and again we do trim the stuff, the hairs protruding from the nose. Anyway, enough on personal hygiene. I'll let you go back to Ian there. Back to you, Brian, 200 CGM.
Yeah, okay, right, yeah, no, I never mind nose trim running up the barber there, so eyebrows and ears, he does the ears, but that's it there, so there we are. Anyway, we better fetch Ian back in there, otherwise he might be falling asleep there. So, back to you there, Ian. M00 PH.
GW1 AWH returning to the small group. Yeah, fat chance of that. No, it's I've got a cat sitting outside the door there, letting me know that she's displeased that she's been kept out of the room. Otherwise, I suspect if I'd let her in, or if she had come in, she'd have probably ended up, first of all, having a good old mooch around the room and then climbing over the radio. I don't mind having a cat on the radio as long as she's actually using the microphone, but when she wants to sit on top of said radio, I do draw the line at that. But no, she actually, I think she's given up now and probably disappeared off in a bit of a filthy temper, I would imagine. But no chance of falling asleep as yet. Anyway, microphone back to you, Brian.
And 10 PH return in the group. Yeah, well, I think you might have sorted your radio out there, Ian. Don't seem to be having any trouble tonight.
GW1, AWH returning to the group. The problem is still there, Brian, but at the moment I'm cheating because I'm using the transmitter with the CTCSS set, but I'm using the sub-receiver on the repeater output frequency with no tone set. So that solves the problem. It does also mean that if any other signal comes up on the same frequency, then I'll hear them as well. But it at least means I can work the repeater on the base station. But as I was telling Nigel, up on the hill after the net closed, or at least after I cleared, I dug out the mobile set and just checked access into the repeater, and with the code set on both transmit and receive, I've got exactly the same problem as with the base station. If I turn the code off on receive immediately after accessing the repeater, then I can hear the return signal. So it does point to the problem being lack of code on the output. But whilst I was talking to Nigel, I've just thought of a little check I can do. I'm going to program the handy for this repeater with two versions of settings. One with the code on both transmit and receive, and I'll leave the setting at present where my access is encoded, but the receive is not. And well, we'll see if just to confirm that that causes that's the cause of the problem. If the receive on the signal with the code with the CTCSS frequency set, if that opens up, then obviously that's not the case. But I think that'll conclusively prove one way or the other whether the lack of tone is the problem. But at the moment, shall we say, that's my suspicion. But I haven't been able to categorically prove it as yet. But the fact that two radios are behaving in the same manner is unusual, to say the least. Microphone to you.
Yeah, oh well, no, I thought you'd sorted out there, Ian, because Tony was beating it, because he downloaded a manual for it as well, to see if he could sort it out that way. But there we are. No, one of those things that's not in the book at the moment. So, yeah, be interested to know what will be the outcome eventually when you got it sorted out. Not you.
GW1, AWH returning to the group. Yeah, don't worry, Brian. I'll let you know the results of that little experiment. After I've tried it. So should be interesting to find out. No, the reason that I tried the mobile up on the hill this afternoon was that I thought, well, if I was getting a low signal or poor signal into the base station, I thought maybe that might explain the problem. So I thought, well, at least being on top of the hill, much stronger signal. But in all honesty, the signal that I'm getting into the base station is plus 60. So it's hard to believe, but I want to try and just eliminate any any possible red herrings first if I can. But as I say, once I've got a little bit more evidence, then I'll keep you advised on that. Microphone to you.
Okay, there we are. Well, there we are. One of the things, I know one of the boys in our club He's been working on 2 meters. He can receive, but he can't get out. Then he changed it over to another radio, and he's done the same with that. So the boys are asking him, how is your SWR on your aerial, and blah, blah, blah. But, at the moment, everybody seems to be beat. Why he can't transmit now at the moment? He can only transmit on a handheld, so we're watching that space.
GW1 HWH returning to the group. Yep, understood there, Brian. Slightly different situation, but yeah, I think I know how he feels at the moment, but at least with the having the sub-receiver in the base station, it, well, put it bluntly, I can cheat and get in through the back door, shall we say. But not very convenient. But that's the annoying thing. The other repeaters that I've tried, I can access and hear no problems at all. But for some reason, WR seems to be a bit of a problem. I'll be honest, it wasn't until I started messing about with the dedicated receive only antenna that this problem cropped up, which made me think that maybe I'd reset something. Really wouldn't like to say, but anyway, hopefully time and a bit more effort will pay dividends. So just have to see how it goes. Microphone to you.
Yeah, okay there, Ian. Well, I'll let you take it back to have a word with Nigel there. So over to you, Ian, from M0PH in the group.
GW1 AWH returning. Yep, okay there, Brian, and yep. Actually, I think I'll probably make this my final, because I have to go QRT and keep the station manager happy. Otherwise, she might end up giving me a little bit of verbal if I'm not careful. But yep, all understood, and yeah, we'll just have to see how it pans out. So many thanks for that, Brian. Anyway, for Nigel, well, basically, as described to Brian, just have to keep on experimenting and see if I can effect a cure. And when I do, you will be one of the first to find out, Nigel. So microphone to you.
200 CDM returning the group. I tell you what, I've got nothing on the input, nothing at all on the input on you. Normally I'd expect to get a signal, but I've got nothing on the input there, Ian. So it's all very strange. Yeah, okay, I think we're all ready to clear. So we'll make this a final to you there, Ian. But say I'm a bit surprised, nothing on the input. Not sure if you can check me on the input, Ian. 200 CGM.
GW and AWH returning. I can do. I'll just have to reset the receiver. Oh, hang on, just a moment. I've just realised there is an even easier way, but it will cause some interference. But yeah, I'll pass the microphone back to yourself and just make the suitable adjustments. So if you give me 10 seconds, and I'll do that. So anyway, microphone to you, Nigel, and if you can give me the 10 seconds.
CDM in the small group. I'll give a count there. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Possibly back to yourself, Ian. 200 CGM.
GW1 AWH returning, Nigel. Yeah, no indicated signal, but you were just readable. Well, you were partially readable. when I could hear you, I could make out what you were saying, but you were in and out of the static, the QRN. So you're not running much power yourself, I know. I'm only running 5 watts, which is why you're having problems taking me direct. I assume you're running a similar power level to access the repeater. Microphone to you.
200 CDM. I'm running 20 watts at the moment. If you want to do a check on simplex, we could do that, but as I say, we're probably all ready for bed. But I'm 20 watts actually at the moment there, Ian. I know you're on 5, but I should still receive you. 200 CDM.
GW1 AWH returning. Yeah, understood on that. Well, I'm effectively running simplex, just using separate, sort of almost a separate transmitter and receiver. But yes, I just turned the volume down on the receive and turned the volume up on the main receiver, and I could just hear you in amongst the static there. But yes, I think the reason that under flat terrain conditions, you should be able to hear me on 5 watts. I think the terrain that we do have is simply not allowing the signal through. If I increase to 20 watts, then that might be different. But as you say, time is pressing on, so I think that's a little experiment for another day there, Nigel. Microphone to you.
CDM in the group. I was just suggesting if we did a quick check on simplex, I don't know, 145 575, see if we could link up on simplex. Okay, a bit late. Okay, let's go back to Brian. 200 CDM.
GW1 AWH returning. Okay, Nigel. In that case, I'll make this my last, and I'll my final, and I'll just go back to Brian then before clearing. So, many thanks for that, Nigel, and yep, thanks for calling in, and yes. Well, actually, I can't remember who called who, but hell, who cares? Anyway, having said that, yeah, Brian. I know I said had my finals, but yeah, I'll just say wish you a good night, and hope that Jackie makes a speedy recovery from the op, and the result is everything that she hoped for. So with that, microphone to you.
0 PH returning for the final there. Yeah, everything's going okay there, Ian. So. Yeah, you're doing well, can't falter at all. Okay, well, we wish you both a very good morning. Catch up with you again soon from M00PH in the small group. Thought it may have been a bit bigger, but where's this Mike then? I thought he is on in the nights as well, but there we are. Perhaps he's under the thumb.
Maybe he's just not an insomniac. There could be many reasons, but I don't think now is the time to go into them, Brian. But hey ho, we can but guess. Anyway, I wish you good morning, and catch you later in the week there, Brian. So all the best, and well, we shall speak further down the log. Nigel, I'll say good morning as well, and catch you later in the week. So with that, this is Golf Whiskey 1, Alpha Whiskey Hotel going clear of the repeater, and yeah, many thanks for its use. So good night, guys.
Yeah, 200 CGM, clearing with yourself, Ian, and also with yourself there, Brian. We're off and clear. I gather you didn't want to make a check there on simplex, Ian. Time to go to bed. Okay, we're gone. Thanks for your repeater, and good night to any shortwave listeners. Good night, both. We gone.
This is the GB3BC repeater tone squelch 94.8 Hertz. GB3WR. Repeater. Tone. Squelch 94.8 Hertz. Good morning.